And on the international front, TikTok will appear before the U.S. Supreme Court later today in a last-ditch effort to overturn a ban in a case testing the limits of national security and free speech. The social media platform is challenging a law passed last year ordering the firm to be split from its Chinese owner or be blocked from the United States by 19th of January. Here are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
The U.S. government is arguing that without a sale, TikTok could be used by China as a tool for spying and political manipulation. But TikTok rejects that claim, arguing it has been unfairly targeted and the measure violates the free speech of its some 170 million American users. Lower courts have sided with the government, but the case was complicated last month when U.S. President-elect Donald Trump weighed in on the dispute and asked for the enforcement of the law to be paused to grant him time to work out a deal. TikTok is already banned from government devices in countries such as the UK and faces more bans in more countries. Meanwhile, global economic growth is projected to remain at 2.8% in 2025, unchanged from last year according to a latest report released by the United Nations. Despite falling inflation, improving labor market conditions and monetary easing, global growth is predicted to remain below the pace seen before the pandemic. Africa is forecast to grow 3.7% in 2025, up from a projected expansion rate of 3.4% in 2024. This is thanks to recoveries in major economies including Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. Finally, Ghana's new government could seek extra funding from the International Monetary Fund to cushion the economy. The West African gold and cocoa producer defaulted on most of its external debt in 2022, leading to a painful restructuring which is at its tail end. Ghana's President John Mahama has pledged to conclude the process by striking a deal with its non-Eurobond commercial creditors. The new government has also pledged to overhaul the management of the crucial cocoa sector, which has been facing challenges in recent years. Frederick Moki for Lunchtime News.